Hey, what's up everybody, and this is John Scott's 15, and on this episode going to be briefly taking a view into and dive, if you will, into the WWE Super Showdown that will take place in Saudi Arabia. Give my thoughts on some of the anticipated matches towards that one. Also, the road to WrestleMania in general. I've had a lot of emails from you guys about just how WWE, the perception of the road to WrestleMania, whether it actually exists or not. Definitely something to really consider. And also, I'm going to be talking about some things that's going on for WrestleLine this coming week. In fact, this Saturday, it's going to be taking place locally in the Grays area of Essex. I really encourage anybody that's around this way of Essex to come out and give Triumph Wrestling a look in. Come down, get the tickets. There are tickets still available. I'm not sure that you can get the VIP ones or the front row ones, but there are still tickets available to get, so get them as soon as you can. So yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about that, and of course WrestleLine's first feature match. I'm going to give my thoughts on that as well. So anyway, let's dive straight into it, shall we? So WWE Super Showdown, that is now on the calendar of events, is going to be happening in February, as opposed to I think they normally go back to, they do the show, the first show normally on the wrestling calendar is around April, May. I think it's May actually. This time they've gone for February, which I was quite shocked about, because I just think you're right in the middle of the road to WrestleMania, and to be putting on this kind of event, as we know they do in Saudi Arabia, is quite something, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. Obviously, this sort of interlinks with my second part of this theme on this episode, really, about the road to WrestleMania. But in any case, let's talk about WWE Super Showdown, as it's called. One couple of matches that have definitely been hinted at. I know last time I said that Sting was in line for a match. It now looks like possibly, instead of it being Super Showdown, it's going to be WrestleMania. Now, don't 100% just go with it just because I've said it, because obviously I've got it wrong from last time. I assumed that he was going to be involved in Super Showdown. Now it doesn't seem like that's happening, but WrestleMania definitely could be the next in line, and possibly, I know people are talking about Undertaker and Sting finally. I'm not sure that's a wise decision at all, but sometimes it's it's always better in the thought process than it is in actual reality. So we'll see how that one goes. But the matches we do know at WWE Super Showdown so far, Ricochet is going to be up against Brock Lesnar. I knew Brock was going because obviously there's a payday involved. I think last time WWE was there, Brock didn't even, I don't think he participated, but he still got a payday because he came out and I think it's when he had the Money in the Bank. I think he come out with a briefcase, and he still got paid like millions for doing that. So now he's got a match. Obviously, we know Drew McIntyre versus Brock is happening at WrestleMania. This is the way they're going. So they've decided to throw out a match that really, in all honesty, has no sort of there's no sort of reasoning. The outcome of it is going to make no difference at all in this one. Even if Ricochet was to miraculously get a victory over Brock Lesnar, and by the way, he won't, not clean anyway, so he won't even get the rub, and even if he did get the rub, it wouldn't be like one that puts you over clean. So this has absolutely no bearings on the outcome, which is just a pretty meaningless match, but it is just a way to get Brock on. I think working against a smaller guy like Ricochet, I think what WWE are trying to do is they're trying to interlink it with the road to WrestleMania by saying, well, Brock could just throw this guy around like a long dart and a flipping seagull all around the ring, because that's what's going to happen, and he's just going to obviously win. Now, what possibly could happen is Drew McIntyre gets involved in the match, and perhaps that's how Ricochet gets over. As we know in the Royal Rumble, that's he got the low blow in, and of course Drew took him out. So it might be kind of one of those things where it's like a little bit of, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. They might do that in an angle, I'm guessing, at Super Showdown, so stick around for that. I'll certainly give my predictions to what I think will happen closer to the event. I know people have been asking after my Royal Rumble prediction list to give the next predictions for Super Showdown. I will give my predictions, but like I always say, don't just be careful, because just because I say it doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to happen. And sometimes you can get fortunate with these things. In any case, Ricochet versus Brock Lesnar is one of the matches. We also now know that Bill Goldberg returned on SmackDown. I thought this was a really crappy way of having him come back, by the way. Like, that Titantron interview thing, like, he wasn't even there. It wasn't like he even came out, and it was like he's on an interview and then he gets interrupted by Bray, and the match, obviously what happens is what happens. You'd be better to watch it than me to describe it, that's for sure. I thought it was a little bit cheesy, and I wasn't really all that for it, but they're going with Bray Wyatt versus Bill Goldberg. Again, the Fiend has to win this. I don't see Bill Goldberg getting another Universal title run. If he did, I think a lot of people would be very angry going into WrestleMania. So again, Bill is challenging for the Universal title that he claims he never got a rematch for. So this is the way they've interlocked this match. I just think that after last time out with Goldberg and Undertaker, very surprised that WWE want to really run a risk of having Goldberg in there with their WWE Universal Champion, given that there's only going to be a month away from the biggest show of the year of WrestleMania, at least in the WWE's eyes anyway. I'm sure in WWE's eyes the actual probably big show is this one they're doing now in terms of grossing the money, but it is a little bit of a risk because, as we all know, Goldberg does have a little bit of a reputation for injuries and not working the most safest way. And the problem is with Bill these days, of course, he's a little bit older, and things do take its toll on you a little bit more. Hopefully, they set the match up so that it works in a way where that can't happen, but we'll see how that goes. Other potential matches, I will say there's no chance of seeing Edge on this one. I think Edge they're going to bring back straight after and probably start the feud with Randy Orton towards WrestleMania. That would be my guess in that one. I think in terms of Roman Reigns, what will he do? He'll probably have some sort of significant match where it will give him the title shot against Bray, I would imagine, for this show. So I'm not sure who that will be at this point. Could be a whole number of people, but I think that's the way they're going to go. So now, of course, moving on to the road to WrestleMania, everybody's been emailing me in a little bit here and saying, what do I think about it? Does it exist? I've got to be honest with you, I feel like the Royal Rumble, the way they promoted that was such a non-event. They really didn't do a lot of promotion for it, and it's kind of one of those things. I did really enjoy the Royal Rumble when it came, but I mean, they didn't really hype it as much as they normally do. And the road to WrestleMania, I'm not really sure the road starts here anymore. I think because of the Super Showdown show, I think that it'll probably start more after that. I think, and it does throw out a few obstacles, because normally the road to WrestleMania is like a 3-month thing. By and large, how it used to be back in the days, you'd win the Royal Rumble, and that would be the big match that the WrestleMania pay-per-view would be sold on, whether it was Steve Austin and The Rock, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, Triple H, Jericho. Those matches were pretty much put down early on, and it would be up to people to buy their tickets to head to WrestleMania. Now, of course, times have changed. In the last 10, 12 years, WrestleMania is just a brand. I mean, it's almost... It's the event that people pay their tickets for. So you pay WrestleMania, like if you're going to fly out there, you're paying that well in with like 7 months, 8 months prior. So you don't even know who's going to be on the card, let alone the main event. So you're just basically paying for the experience, which I get. So times have changed. They don't really need to sell you a match anymore. They're out of the pay-per-view business, so that's non-existent as well. And yeah, just that whole thing has completely turned on its head a little bit. So it is different. Being an old school fan like I am, I don't enjoy it because I preferred having the big one main event. Now we seem to get 3 or 4, even 5 sometimes, sort of big main event hitters. I just prefer having the one. So I do feel like WrestleMania, in terms of the road, will probably happen straight after Super Showdown, and you'll probably get like the Hall of Fame announcements happening week to week after that, I would imagine. But I used to prefer it. I think the last time I've seen a really good road to WrestleMania, and this is going back some, I tell you, this is probably 2005. That was when they were heading into WrestleMania 21. They were doing the whole Hollywood skits that I'm sure people remember, the little adverts that were out. And yeah, it was just so well done. It was almost like they'd worked backwards in the storytelling. They'd set their matches up and then they booked. They book backwards. That's how you're supposed to do it. That's how it's best done. That's how they used to do it back in the 80s, the 90s. Nowadays, not so much. It seems to change week to week. Vince McMahon always noticeably is doing rewrites on SmackDown. So it's a different ball game. We've got 2 championships. We've got multiple titles. We've got all these brands. So it is very, it's much more complicated than it probably needs to be. Charlotte Flair, obviously, she looks like she's as full as I predicted. For anybody that listened on another podcast I did say that she would be facing for the NXT championship, the women's championship. I think that's a great call personally, because it's a fresh match altogether, and I think it just puts more eyeballs on the NXT brand, which is good as well. Okay, so finishing up on this podcast, just want to let everybody know this coming Saturday I am going to be down at Gray's for Triumph Wrestling Volume 4. I'm hoping Matt will be back with me as well. I want to give him a shout out and wish him all the best, and I hope he gets better soon. I know he's going through a difficult time, so I'm giving him a little shout out there. But yes, I'm going to be down there, and we're going to be promoting our first ever feature match that involves What Culture's Simon Miller. Big name, really honoured to have him be a part of our first match, and it's an open challenge. We still don't know who the challenger is going to be. Lots of rumours have been flying around Essex, so it could be all kinds of names, I've got to be honest with you. But I still do not know. I have had no indication whatsoever of who it could be, and as far as I'm aware, neither have Triumph Wrestling. But we're really looking forward to it. I do encourage anybody who's living in the Essex area to you can still get tickets. Come down, check the event out. It's going to be a big deal for us. We're really excited to have it. The week after that, I'm going to be at DNA Wrestling back in Ipswich. We're going to be back there. I'm going to be obviously covering the event. We've got an interesting match between our own Essex's own and the Proteus champion himself, Paul Robinson, up against Harry Mount with Mr. Buggles. That is going to be really interesting, to say the least, especially what happens to Mr. Buggles, I'm sure. But yes, we are coming to the end of our show. Now, don't forget, guys, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done. Go onto our YouTube channel where we've got various videos up there. Check us out on Twitter. We are at WrestleLine. Check us out at Facebook at WrestleLine, and on Instagram, WrestleLine channel. Check us out at all these places, and don't forget WrestleLine.co.uk. Until next time, I've been John Scott. This has been John Scott's 15.